Well, it's obviously great to be back. March is a special time of the year. We're really fortunate and blessed to be a part of it. The NCAA is the pinnacle in our profession, and we're so excited to be here. It's been a fun and interesting year. You got a bunch of resilient kids, that didn't let outside expectations set in, and really had their own expectations inside the locker room, and bought into a philosophy of just getting better every single day. What we lost last year from a points, rebounds, assists, minutes standpoint was a lot. But what we had coming back was a belief, a family culture. And as we continue to go forward, the family and the culture word are going to be the foundation of everything we're about. And I think that starts with the humble and hungry Lawrence Alexander, who's just had a special year. Lawrence has done what he's needed to do, the last 3 years to help us win, because that's what he's all about. This year that was to raise his scoring, and he's done that to a high level, and that's trickled down. There's been a ton of adversity with the transition of facilities and some things like that, but not once did our guys complain. In fact, they made no excuses, and I think that adversity has brought us together and got us to where we are today, and we're excited to be here.
All right, questions?
Beth Wool, KVLY, KXJB. Coach, are you guys able to focus on this not being so exciting the first run because so many of the guys in your lineup were able to be here or be at this stage last year and witness it? Have you guys been able to move past that, you feel?
Well, this is the NCAA tournament, and we want our guys to enjoy the experience. And we've tried to make that crystal clear. And I also think, it goes back to why you picked up the orange ball in the first place, was to have fun. And we've done that. The last thing we say before we leave the locker room, let's go out and have some fun. And we want those guys to enjoy it. At the same time, we understand that this is a business trip. We've got an unbelievable opportunity in front of us, a very formidable, obviously, opponent that's going to be a tremendous challenge. But we're excited about the stage. I know our guys aren't going to be intimidated, and we're looking forward to it.
Kevin Schnepp from the Forum newspaper in Fargo. Dave, last year at this time, there were some people giving you a chance against Oklahoma. It seems like this year there's nobody giving you a chance. How do you convince yourself and your team that you do have a chance?
Obviously Gonzaga is as complete as I've seen. You take away the fact that you're playing them and you just watch them as you're breaking them down. They're just a fun team to watch. They really are, because of how they play. They don't trick you. They're just going out there and they do what they do, and they do it well. You can tell they're very well coached. They have 4 seniors. They got high major transfers coming off the bench. This is as good a complete team. But for us, again, and I think it's so much of it starts with Lawrence, is we've been in these moments before, with big names and big teams, and we've just got to worry about us, Kevin. If we get caught up thinking about this or that, we're not going to give ourselves a chance. But if we defend, take care of the ball, and rebound like we've been able to do for the betterment of this year, and give ourselves a chance down the stretch, that's all we can ask. If we lined up and played these guys a ton of times, yeah, they'd probably get us the majority of it. But we're going to play for 40 minutes tomorrow one time, and our guys are excited about that.
Jeff Kopak, the Forum in Fargo. You talk about complete team. They're big, and plus they one of the top shooting teams in the country. How do you handle that kind of balance?
Well, that's just it. They shoot 52%, and then they hold opponents to 38%. I don't know if I've ever seen a field goal margin difference like that. And then how they take care of the ball, their assist-to-turnover ratio, those numbers just jump right out at you. So, we've got to do a good job. They can score inside. They can score outside. They can score at the mid-level. But they're really, really good in transition with their initial and their secondary break. And we've got to do a good job of really getting back and keeping them in the half court as much as possible, and not letting both parts get going. If they get going from the inside and the outside, it's going to be a long night.
John Boyle with the Everett Herald. One of your guys referred to you as the only team in the country to lift weights in a grocery store and practice in a warehouse. Just how big an obstacle has that been this year with the facilities kind of trying to get into a rhythm when you're all over the place?
Yeah, I can't tell you how excited we are for the fall of 2016. You know, the people of Sanford Health, Nodak Mutual, Shields in town, you know, are putting together a great $50 million renovation for us. But there is a transition right now. You know, our offices are in a warehouse or in an industrial park. We're lifting weights in a grocery store. You know, the signs are still up, fresh produce, fresh meat. I'm just showing the guys the pictures right now. I mean, they're still up. And then we're practicing in a warehouse, and some of our local media has been in there. It's about 140 feet long. It's got 20 high ceilings. That's what, in a weird way, that adversity has really brought us together. We've had to communicate about how we're getting here and there, and we've made no excuses. One of the all-time greats to ever put on a football uniform at NDSU, Phil Hansen, came in and spoke to us early in the year. In his senior year, the Fargo Dome was being built, and they were transitioned. They were removed from their practice fields, and they bust out to Cardinal Stritch, and that's where they practiced, and they went on to win a national championship. They eliminated excuses, and our guys have done that. They've eliminated excuses. In fact, the only person that's gotten mad was me. I had to sit them down in the fall, and I found out they were doing their own laundry and had to get on them from that. You know, those are things that we can do. And again, I think that's the tough-minded, you know, selfless attitude that's got us to where we are.
Coach, Eddie Pels with Associated Press. There might not be a funny story behind this, but how exactly did the negotiation go to get into the supermarket, or did you just take it over?
You know, it was I wasn't involved directly in the negotiations, thankfully. But, you know, like I said, it just kind of came to us that, you know, the construction crew was really just forcing us out. It was almost like you're in a tunnel of the old BSA, and we had to go, and we had to make some quick decisions. And when you've got that much space needed for not only a men's basketball but a football and all of our other sports, you take what's available. And all things considered, I think it really came together about as well as possible. You know, the grocery store is about 1.5 miles away. The industrial park where our offices are a little bit farther, 2 miles away. And our practice facility is about 1.5 miles. So all things considered, you know, it came together about as well as possible. And again, there's no excuses, and I think our 23-9 record speaks for it. But we've also got, I believe it's up to the 5th longest winning streak in the country at home right now at 25 straight.
Jody Norstead, WDAY. Coach, we've seen your team, especially in the Summer League tournament, just kind of really slow things down and really just wait to the last seconds of that shot clock and really work the clock. How much of an advantage do you feel that gives you in a game like this, and how important do you think it's going to be to kind of keep Gonzaga out of a tempo?
I'll take points anytime we can get them, Jody. You know, but so we try to push opportunistically and get some things in transition whenever we can. Make no mistake. But what we lost, you know, and again, there's no secrets. This is going to be Coach Few and his staff are going to. Sometimes we are offensively challenged, but our guys have really bought into our roles. I think that's probably the biggest thing that's happened since we played, you know, at Texas and at Iowa. Again, 2 very good opponents, but we weren't very sharp. We weren't very crisp. But a guy like Carlin Dupree has really settled into his role and taken his shots. You know, we've turned down good shots for great shots. And then let's make no mistake about it. You know, Lawrence has just made some tremendous plays down the stretch and at the end of shot clocks and the end of games.
Josh Swanson, Bison Illustrated. Coach, earlier today with UAB and Georgia State pulling off big upsets. What's your take on that, and is there anything that the team can take away from those games heading into the game tomorrow night?
I think, Josh, that's what makes March special. You know, it's a fun time of year, and anything can happen. And again, the seeds are your body of work throughout the course of the year, you know, and throughout 30-plus games. But, you know, for those guys, you know, the UABs, the Georgia States, they played for 40 minutes today. They played one game. And that's what we're going to do tomorrow night. And if we can, again, put ourselves in position down the stretch, that's all we can ask for.
Jeff Kobach with the Forum again. I don't mean to scare you on these questions, but Wilcher's 6'10", and he leads the team in field goal, three-point shooting.
I've watched him. You're not.
How do you defend a guy like that?
Well, again, I think the old you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him a little bit. You know, I mean, Wilcher's he's an NBA pro. I mean, he's the newcomer of the year in this league. I mean, he's as good as there is, and we've got to do a good job of contesting everything with him, not getting any clean looks, and just make it difficult. Our guys, you know, we're going to be outmatched in size, you know, make no mistake, but we've got to find different ways. We've got to play 5-on-5. Individually, one-on-one, yeah, they probably get the better of us, but we're going to play 5-on-5, and we've got to do some things game plan-wise and be physical, be tough-minded, and execute a game plan.
Coach Joel Heitkamp, KFGO, are you going to have to go deeper on the bench? Are you going to have to give up some fouls and not care if some of these guys end up sitting next to you?
You know, we got to use the full 2.5 minute media timeouts that we'll have with the national television game. You know, our plan, Joel, is to stick with what got us here, and that was playing, you know, for the most part, a core of 7 guys, at times 8. If we do get into some foul trouble, you know, we've got to be smart situationally. But we are who we are, especially this time of year, and those core 7 have got us to where we are. You know, a guy like Brian DeShola or Evan Wiesenberg, you know, depending on situations, foul trouble, if they get in there, great. But, you know, we won a game this year basically, you know, against a good Akron team with 5 guys. You know, we beat the University of North Dakota with 6 guys. And so we've got to do us. That's the biggest thing, the biggest message, you know, that we're trying to relay to our guys here this week.
Beth Hool, KVLY, KXJB. I know you hate to talk about yourself, but you've got a former roommate here with you as well this week in Ben Jacobson. Can you just talk about just your guys' journeys and to be able to be at this level together?
Ben Jacobson is an elite coach in this country. Make no mistake. I mean, he was in the Sweet 16. They're 30-2, and he's got a mid-major program ranked in the top 10. He's an excellent coach. But Ben Jacobson is a way, way, way better person. And that's what I've learned. I've been so fortunate and blessed to learn from a lot of these, you know, Ray Giacoletti, Tim Miles, Saul Phillips, Greg McDermott, you know, Jeremy Cox, just to name a few really quick, and not all the assistants, but guys that are high-level elite coaches. But what I learned the most was the character, the integrity that they did it all with. And, you know, I lived in Ben's basement, you know, and those are special times. They really are. And all I was at the time was a student coach that, you know, I just kind of hung around, and it was in Ben's office. And when Mac got the Northern Iowa job, he just said, you know what, you should come with. And I love those two. I mean, they were great to me. They were like, you know, father figures as well. And so I've jumped at the opportunity.
Coach, you mentioned some other coaches at some very successful programs, yet at the same time, you know, you've been around NDSU, and in 7 years of eligibility, 3 NCAA tournaments. What does that mean for the program to have that kind of success so soon after the transition? Yeah,
I think, again, Josh, you look around and you try to pinpoint something, and the only thing that you can really pinpoint is the people. There's a tremendous, you know, attitude and selfless attitude, you know, within our Bison Nation, within Fargo, you know, the state of North Dakota, the Red River Valley. The FM area is just tremendous in the support we get and the resources that come from that support, you know, help us to get to it. But, you know, I think you take a look at, you know, what our football program's done. Look at our women's track. Look at what Roger's doing with wrestling now. I think we all understand that, you know, we are who we are in Fargo, North Dakota. There might be a perception nationally of Fargo. We don't really care about that, you know. I mean, our perception is we're going to get, you know, tough-minded, selfless individuals, you know, that care way more about the team than they do themselves, and then just work, stick around. You know, the old saying, those who stay will be champions, you know. You know, in the recruiting game to kids, and I was just telling my father this the other day, we'll promise you 2 things. It's going to be a lot of hard work, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, you can see, you know, those efforts being rewarded by back-to-back NCAA tournaments.
Chris, they're pretty big inside. You know, you're talking like 7-1, 7-1. How do you deal with that?
I mean, we're just going to fight and do our best to keep them off the glass, stay in front of them, make them hit contested shots over us.
Jack Michaels, Midwest Communications, Fargo, LA. For you, the difference of this field going into this tournament as opposed to last year?
I think it's the same. I mean, be back at the NCAA tournament, 2 different teams, but you still got to approach every game like you did the last, 29, 30. Take it one game at a time, and hopefully come out with some W's.
This is Eddie Pels from AP. I read that this would be for anyone who wants to take it, that you guys lift weights in a grocery store, work out at a warehouse. Could you tell me what it's like, what your situation is there?
So Lawrence, I guess, is ready to take that. I can tell.
It's really at the beginning of the year we really didn't get in a routine. That's one thing you want to do as a college athlete, get in a routine of things. And at the beginning of the year it was kind of was a grind, but once we got in a routine, things start flowing easily for us. But just to be lifting in the grocery store, I think that says a lot.
Yeah, anyone else want to take that? Okay, AJ?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's another team in the country that can say that, they lift in a grocery store and work out and do basketball stuff in a warehouse. We have it's maybe the ceiling in the warehouse is maybe 20 feet tall, and, it's just something that we've, tried to eliminate excuses all year. And, those 2 things is something that we've just tried to eliminate and, get better from having that.
Yeah, right here. Go ahead.
Beth Hool, KVLY, KXJB in Fargo, North Dakota. Lawrence, you think about the impact you had last year in the game over Oklahoma. Have you reflected on that at all? Maybe use that in talking to some of these younger guys as you guys prepare for this big matchup?
Just a little bit. Just give them, encourage them, knowing that anything can happen on a neutral floor. But I tried not to. It's last year, so I kind of want to put it in the past. But this is one thing I try to do is give my teammates confidence, knowing that once the ball go up, it's anybody games, knowing that they're technically the bigger team, but we still gonna come out and give our best fight.
Jody Norstead, WDAY. Kory, this is a top shooting team in the country. You guys are probably well aware of that. What's the most important thing that you guys need to do defensively to try to slow them down?
Do us. Everything we do is always going to be about us, playing our defense, our game. So them being one of the top shooting teams in the country, we just got to make sure we close out tight, have high hands at all times, or have a hand up at all times, and make sure no one's left wide open. Everything's got to be contested for us to give us a shot in this game.
John Boyle with the Everett Herald. This is really for any of you. We've already seen 2 14 seeds win today. When you're an underdog coming into a game, is that good motivation to kind of see those results a day earlier?
I mean, it's always, and knowing the fact that considering the underdog, there's no pressure on you. So either way it goes, I mean, if you lose, everybody's going to talk about how great of a season you had, or if you win, it's going to be pretty exciting because nobody didn't expect you to win. But like I said before, being an underdog is it's kind of a great feeling because if you win, nobody expects you to win, but if you lose, then you just lose.
Chris, who do you think the biggest guy you've played against this year? Is it Forbes from Fort Wayne, or who's up there?
Yeah, I'd say Forbes from Fort Wayne, and also we played Texas early in the year, and Ridley is a big body, and Woodbury from Iowa is really tall, has some great length, but yeah, the big guys from Gonzaga are, I think, the biggest overall front line that we've faced, and they're talented too, so it's going to be tough, but we'll do everything we can.
Jody Norstead, WDAY. Lawrence, with your guys' offense, it runs so slow. You guys like to eat up the shot clock. How much do you think that helps in a setting like this?
It's going to help us out a lot. And most importantly, I think it's going to help for us to get comfortable and used to the rims. Hopefully we could get adjusted to them out here and shoot around. But it always seems like it take an extra day. But knowing Gonzaga like to get out and run a lot, that's one thing we have noticed when we was watching film. But just for us to, play at our tempo, I think it's going to help us out a lot.
AJ, for you being part of this offense now, how would you describe this offense? Is it almost boring? Are you trying to bore the other team? Is that the goal in this?
Honestly, I think we're just trying to get good shots and good looks. And, our coaching staff has preached all year about, taking your shots that you're good at, shots that we've practiced. And, we're a really patient team, and I think that helps us with our, shooting percentages and stuff. But, I think it's more not to bore the other team, but just more to get a look that we want as a team.